What's up, fellas? The regular season in college football is officially over. And even though that definitely saddens me,
but
we cannot sit here and pretend like major things did not just happen this past weekend. Whether it was coaches roaching out of picture-perfect situations at their former schools, unfathomable losses to rivals, or computers figuring out championship game tiebreakers, college football is amazing. But let's be honest, you know what I'm going to start with. We did it. We're in the Mountain West Championship game for a third straight year. God, it feels good. I'm not gonna lie, this season has been up and down. It has definitely been fun, but I gotta thank our computer overlords for selecting this Rebel team to be in the Mountain West Championship game. Whether it's deserved or not, does not matter. The metrics said we should be in this, and we are. That's all I have to hear to know that we are deserving of it. Now, do I feel bad for New Mexico? Absolutely. Do I feel bad for San Diego State? Yeah, kinda. I mean, that's a Pac-12 school now, but it is what it is. And now we have to go against the biggest roadblock in this school's history, at least when it comes to football, the Boise State Broncos. I'm expecting a great game. If you're gonna beat them, it gotta be now. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We'll get back to this later. Let's talk about how we got here first. Back on Saturday night, my UNLV Rebels went up to Reno and slapped around the Nevada Wolf Puppies in what can only be described as a butt whooping. It was domination from the first snap to the last snap. 42-17, the Rebels win in Dan Mullen's first Cannon game. Honestly, there's some good and some bad. We'll go over the bad first, just because I think this was a solid performance by this team, but it could have been better. I don't like to be negative, just we got to get this out of the way. 14 for a total of 92 penalty yards is unacceptable for a team that I consider to be a good team. I think we are, but 8 offsides penalties that basically kept their drives alive. That is not good football, and a team like Boise will eat us alive if we do not make changes. And I get it, probably because of how aggressive we were in that game, which I was very happy to see that it was effective aggressiveness, but still, man, just you cannot give these teams blueprints on how to beat you. And I know, I mean, people want to blame certain players. It was the whole entire defensive line. I know big number 30, Adelaide, was the cause of most of them. He has also been our leading sacker and one of our most important defensive pieces. It is what it is. Just you got to fix it going into next week, please. Because without a lot of those offsides, we might have held them to 0 on third down. The fact that we did hold them to 3 of 13, pretty amazing, because we kept some drives alive. Just something you got to fix. Let's move on to the positives, because there was a whole bunch. Again, for the third straight week, we got to start with our defense. Wasn't quite as dominant as the Hawaii game. Still great showing from them and Paul Guenther. That was a master class of what we can hope from on defense. We held the Wolf Puppies to 341 yards. We got 2 turnovers off of them. Paul Guenther, as the season has gone on past the New Mexico game, has gotten better and better. And this is a more sustainable type of defense. I don't expect them to shut down any or every quarterback they face. But if we can make them work for touchdowns, make them work for yards, the sky is the limit for this team. Individually, Jake Pope had another great game. 6 total, 4 solo, pass deflection, and kind of looks like he's playing his best ball at the end of the season right now. Marcel is a stud. 6 total, 3 solo. I mean, I'm gonna miss this guy when he's gone. Jaheim Joseph, 5 total tackles, 2 big-time sacks. The guy played incredible, but I really got to shout out to Blessing. These past 3 games, he has really impressed me from the linebacker spot. He had 5 total tackles, 3 solo, a big-time play that resulted in a fumble. Besides jumping off sides a whole bunch of times, this defense played great today, so shout out to Paul Guenther. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I will say he's making it harder if we play like this going forward for me to not like him. We have to move over to offense. Scoring 42 is great. I really honestly believe unbiasedly we could have scored 100. It is what it is. AC-10 did not have the best game. 15 out of 22, 270 yards through the air, touchdown and 2 interceptions. Clearly this performance did not hurt his Mountain West Player of the Year award. That was pretty cool to see. In my eyes, it was a sealed deal after the Hawaii game. I just don't like that the end of the regular season didn't finish off as strong as it possibly could have. It is what it is. Moving on to rushing, this is where we dominated. As a team, 33 carries, 226 yards, 5 tuds. But specifically, Jaden Jet Thomas. Have I told you guys that I love this guy? I think everybody in Rebel Nation should. 11 carries, 103 yards on the ground, 9.4 yards per carry, and 4 of the 5 tuds. He has been one of my favorite Rebels to watch throughout his career. I don't know where we would be as a team or a program without him. Jet's awesome. That's pretty much it. We dominated in the trenches, imposed our will on a a despicable Wolfpack team with a loser head coach. All right, that might be mean. Just that guy was talking about F-150s or being from Idaho. I don't know. It was weird. He deserved it, though. And we'll finish this up with looking at the receiving corps. Jaden Bradley, 3 catches, 71 yards. Troy Meary with a touchdown, 2 catches, 55 yards. Dejon Reynolds, 2 for 43. And JoJo Earl with 2 catches and 43 yards. So as a receiving corps, I think that is undoubtedly one of the best, if not the best, in the G5. Look, in the grand scheme of things, before Friday, did this game matter? No. But I am so proud and happy for this coaching staff, this fan base, that not only did we do what we needed to get into this Mountain West Championship coming up this week, but we kept the cannon red for a 4th straight year in what could have easily been a letdown game or even a overlooked situation. All I gotta say is I'm thankful for a lot of things this Thanksgiving weekend. I'm most thankful for the computers. Shout out to the BCS era. I would have never thought that I would have been the biggest fan of a robot telling me that my team gets to go play against the boogeyman of the Mountain West one last time. So happy. Go Rebels. Let's take care of business. Put this to bed. I mean, I can't explain how much of a fun year this has been. Shout out to Dan Mullen. Couldn't have done it without him. Corey Dennis, I've been really hard on him, especially lately. Paul Guenther, I already gave him his props, but still, very impressed with the last 3 games. I do understand, though, it was not a good weekend for everybody in the Mountain West, so let's just get into some scores from this conference. Starting with the Air Force Falcons beating the Colorado State Rams 42-21. Honestly, this game just didn't matter. It's 2 bottom dwellers of the conference. I think the story from this game has to be Colorado State being able to pull off a really impressive coaching hire in Jim Mora. Now, it's debatable whether this is a worse or better job than UConn. Still, I think under Mora's leadership, I do think Colorado State has potential to be very good. They just got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback. Still, shout out to them and shout out to the Falcons. Moving on to what can be the Mountain West game of the year. Honestly, man, was this fun as a neutral. San Diego State, New Mexico. What a game. They played their asses off all year. The job that Jason Eck has done and those players to get New Mexico at 9-3 whenever they hadn't made a bowl since 2016 is amazing. Hey, in another life, I would have hoped it was us in New Mexico in the championship. Wasn't meant to be. That defense bullied Jaden Denegal, San Diego State's quarterback, all night. Lucky Sutton still got his numbers, and he is a baller, so it's going to be hard to stop him regardless. It just comes down to New Mexico's ability to score in key moments and San Diego State's inability to score any points on offense with an offensive head coach. Shout out to the Lobos. Moving on to the game that really pissed me off, though. Boise State at Utah State. When I say I am not a fan of Bronco Mendenhall, I cannot understate how much of a fan I am not of this guy. The reason they lost by 1 point is because Bronco Mendenhall made a stupid, dumb decision that only hurt his team. Why would you go for 2? Bryson Barnes balled out. That defense played lights out just for a coaching decision to rob them of a possible big-time win at home going into a new conference.
Gross.
Fresno State, San Jose State was a demolition job. 41-14. San Jose State they're not a good team this year. They really underperformed from what even I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to be top of this conference. They were not. Sucks that the Valley Trophy really didn't matter at all this year. And moving on to the last game of the night, Hawaii, Wyoming. Hawaii just kind of methodically destroyed Wyoming. 27-7. Mike Alejado was a baller. 17-24. 289 and 2 tuds. So shout out to them. They had a great season too. After being picked to not make a bowl, 8-4. Good showing. Moving out of the Mountain West, I got to talk about my other team, a team that is very near and dear to my heart, the USC Trojans. SC was able to finish off what can only be considered a confusing but encouraging year by beating the UCLA Bruins in the Battle for LA 29-10. Before we actually get into the game, let's just look at the season as a whole. 9-3, is it great? No. Is it bad? Hell no. Personally, I thought 10-2 was the year. I really saw 10 wins on here. That Illinois game absolutely killed us. We should have won that game. But Lincoln didn't have this team ready, and that's kind of indicative of how this season went. In all our big games, we just fell short. It's not acceptable if we're trying to be a playoff team every year, and that should be the goal for a school like USC. And I already talked about, I know that people are saying that Lincoln wants to leave. If he wants to leave, fine. That means he wasn't supposed to be here. But I don't think he does. Better yet, I should say, I don't think he will leave, at least not this year. Number 1 recruiting class, as long as we're able to keep that the future is bright. As for this actual game,
This was the
closest blowout game I've ever seen. I guess that's the way I can explain it. The 29 points looks right. It's just the way we got there was kind of weird. And we cannot continue to be a slow start type of team. We have to jump on the scoreboard early, get the lead, play with the lead. That's just how this team is supposed to be built. We've got away with that too much this year. And I think next year's schedule will punish us if we do the same thing. Looking at the numbers, Maava had a solid game, man. I mean, that's just how the year has been for him all season. 21 to 29, 257, and 2 tuds. The issue with Maava, I think, is I don't know how much better he can get. I'm not saying that we can't win with this style of football. Like, we can. Still, would I like him back? Probably. It's easier to win games with a returning starter than it is to break in someone new, even if they are super talented like Hassan. It's just next year's schedule is rough to be breaking in a new quarterback. At the same time, though, if I was Maava and I got a day 2 grade from the NFL, I would go. You don't want to chance those type of things. You don't want to be a Drew Aller type of guy where you're supposed to go at least day 2 the previous year, you come back and then you get hurt. It's just not worth it. Rushing, King Miller is a stud. Even when we get Waymo back, I really think King should be the guy. He is a diamond in the rough that we just luckily fell into. I would have loved to see what this running back room would have been without the injuries. The receiving core had a weird game, man. Again, I don't know who to blame this on because we might have just costed Mekhi Lemon a Biletnikoff award just because Lincoln had a weird power trip. I don't know. Maybe that's not fair to say that it was Lincoln's fault. It's just Mekhi Lemon only had 1 catch though, and it was that touchdown. And it sucks to know that he's definitely gone. Not that I want him to stay, because whenever you're a first round pick like him, you gotta go. But same thing with Jacoby Lane. He had 3 catches for 52 yards, no tuds. I hope both of them do big things at the next level. Blake McCree got a touchdown. Shout out to him. Tanook Hines had 3 catches for 31. That's pretty much our future one, I think, unless we get someone out of the portal. Moving on to defense, Alex Graham was a stud. 7 total, 6 solo, 1 TFL. Excited to see what he can do next year. Desmond Stevens had a pretty good game. Shout out to Eric Gentry. That was probably his last game as a Trojan, unless he plays in the bowl. 5 total, 3 solo, and a pass deflection. But to me, the defensive player of the game has to be Jide. Jide Abasari, 3 total tackles, 2 solo, 1.5 sacks. He should be a major rotation piece if this defense wants to actually be competitive. I think overall the performance was good. It wasn't anything crazy. It just boring at times, but a boring win I'll take over an exciting loss any day. Our main thing is roster retention and recruiting the guys we already have committed. I think we can build something very special. And like I said last week, if 9-3 is the new baseline for USC football, then I'm okay. Will I be happy every year with 9-3? No. You got to make the playoffs one of these next 2 years. And honestly, in my eyes, you have to make it next year. I don't care how difficult that schedule is. It will be year 5 of Lincoln Riley. I think it is very important for them to try to win this bowl game because a 10-win season looks beautiful next to a 9-win season. And ultimately, you should win any game that gives you a trophy. At least that's how I've always felt. It's still forever and always fight on. And for me personally, I'm very happy because both of my teams now beat the pathetic Bruins. Let's talk about the national games and then I'll get out of here. I could go on about the coaching carousel, but it's just too frustrating to really cover, at least right now. For the actual games, though, we have to go back to Friday in what was an absolute gut punch to me as a neutral that kind of roots for Nebraska football. 40-16 to Iowa. Awful. And I really don't know what's wrong. Like, I don't know. That's rough. I know earlier that week, Dylan Ravioli was kind of causing a distraction by saying he wants to leave, or maybe it wasn't him, it was someone else. I will always remember this as a wasted Emmett Johnson masterclass. This guy balled out. 29 carries, 217 yards, 1 tud, but man, has he been fun to watch. And unfortunately for Nebraska fans, I think this is the last time you see him. This guy has pro football written all over him. It just sucks that he couldn't end this off right. And it sucks for the fans, man. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Iowa football. I hate the way they play football, but they just beat them in the trenches. That was the biggest worry I had as a USC fan. I didn't think Nebraska was going to have that issue. They got to get better in the run defense department. On the bright side, because I do want to be positive, at least when it comes to this sport, they are one game better than they were last year. And this is a process. It's not a overnight thing like Indiana. It's not. Hopefully next year is the year you guys really take that leap. Moving on, Ohio State, Michigan. This was a complete
ass beating.
27-9 really doesn't even do it justice. To me, this just looked like Ohio State, just a better program right now. A&M at Texas. Way to throw a wrench in the CFP Longhorns. I legitimately thought that this was pretty much chalk. I thought they were going to go in, get blown out. Now you got to start thinking about them for a playoff spot. Personally, would I put them in? No. 3 losses should automatically put you out. And then we'll finish it up with the Egg Bowl that, well, I mean, the fallout from this game was more entertaining than the actual game. 38-19, Ole Miss beat up the Bulldogs. Well, that's all I got for y'all today. If you like stuff like this, you should think about subscribing to this channel. This is a college football channel. I try to cover as much as I can. Mostly that has to do with UNLV and USC though. And if there's anything you'd like to discuss, drop a comment. I try to reply to all of them. I usually do a good job at that. I think you should like the video.